What if one of the most profitable side hustles you could start this weekend required nothing more than a pair of gloves, a bucket, and a willingness to do the job nobody else wants to? We are talking about picking up dog poop for money. And before you click away, stay with me for just 60 seconds, because the numbers on this one are genuinely surprising. Pet waste removal is a real, growing, and often overlooked service business. Regular people are charging between $15 and $25 per yard visit, building routes of 10, 15, even 20 clients, and pocketing a few hundred extra dollars a week doing something that takes only a few hours. Some are turning it into full businesses that replace a 9-to-5 income entirely. But here is the catch. This is not passive income. It is not a laptop lifestyle, and it is absolutely not glamorous. So today, we are going to break down exactly what this gig looks like in the real world. The startup costs, the pricing, the income math, how to get your first customers, and whether this is actually worth your time. No guru hype, just the real numbers. Let's start with the obvious question. Why do people pay someone else to clean up after their own dogs? The answer is simpler than you might think. Dog ownership is at an all-time high. According to recent surveys, nearly 70% of American households own a pet, and dogs are by far the most common. That is a lot of backyards. But here's the thing. People love their dogs. They do not always love the daily maintenance. Between work schedules, kids, physical limitations, and just plain not wanting to deal with it, millions of dog owners are completely happy to pay someone else to handle the cleanup. It is the same reason people pay for lawn care or house cleaning. The task is not complicated. It is just unpleasant enough that outsourcing it feels worth every dollar. And this demand is not going anywhere. The pet services industry has grown steadily for over a decade and shows no signs of slowing down. So what does the job actually look like day to day? You show up at a client's yard, usually on a set schedule, once a week is most common, and you do a thorough sweep of the outdoor space. You collect all the waste, bag it, and dispose of it properly. Most clients want you to take it with you, so a sealed bucket or bag system is standard. The whole visit typically takes between 10 and 20 minutes, depending on the yard size and how many dogs the client has. That is it. No special training, no complex tools, no app to master. Now let us talk about what it actually costs to get started, because this is one of the more accessible side hustles from a startup perspective. Your core supplies are simple. You will need heavy-duty waste bags, which you can buy in bulk for just a few dollars. A small rake or scooper is helpful, especially for larger yards. A sealed bucket or lidded container for transport. That runs maybe $10 to $15. Disposable gloves, hand sanitizer, and a sturdy pair of boots you do not mind dedicating to this work. All in, most people get started for well under $50. Some spend closer to $20 or $30. If you want to look more professional from day one, you might invest in a simple logo printed on a few business cards or a magnetic car sign. That might add another $30 to $50. But none of that is required on day one. The real investment in this business is not money. It is your willingness to show up consistently, rain or shine. Let us get into pricing, because this is where a lot of beginners make their first mistake. The most common rate for a single weekly visit to a one-dog yard is somewhere between $15 and $20. In higher cost of living areas or upscale neighborhoods, that can push to $22 or $25 per visit. Multi-dog yards typically go up by $3 to $5 per additional dog. Some operators also offer bi-weekly service at a slightly higher per-visit rate, or monthly cleanup packages for clients who want less frequent service but still want the yard presentable before events or family gatherings. Those one-time cleanup visits for heavily neglected yards can run $50 to $100 or more, depending on the size and condition. Here is the math that makes people take a second look at this. A beginner who builds up just 8 clients in the first month, each paying $18 per weekly visit, is bringing in $144 per week. That is roughly $576 per month in revenue, for maybe 6 to 8 hours of total work per week. Now bump that to 15 clients, which is a very achievable number for someone working part-time, and you are looking at $270 per week, over $1,000 per month. A dedicated operator running 25 to 30 clients on an efficient route, that is pushing into the $1,500 to $2,000 per month range in revenue. And some full-time operators who have built larger client bases report pulling in $3,000 or $4,000 per month and beyond. But here is what you need to hear clearly. Revenue is not profit. Out of every dollar you collect, you will need to account for supplies, fuel to drive your route, self-employment taxes if you are running this as a business, and potentially liability insurance if you want to protect yourself. More on that in a moment. A reasonable estimate is that after basic expenses, you are keeping somewhere between 65 and 80 cents of every dollar you earn. So always think about what you are actually netting, not just what you are collecting. Now let us talk about how to actually get your first customers, because this is where most people get stuck. Start close to home. Literally, your neighborhood is your first market. A simple flyer, even a handwritten one at first, posted on community boards, in local Facebook groups, or on neighborhood apps like Nextdoor can generate your first few calls faster than you might expect. Tell your friends, family, and coworkers. Word of mouth in this business is genuinely powerful. Dog owners talk to other dog owners. One happy client in a neighborhood can turn into 3 or 4 referrals over time. If you want to look more established from the start, a basic free Google business profile and a simple social media page go a long way. Pet owners often search locally for services, just like they would for a plumber or a landscaper. And do not underestimate the power of going door to door in a dog-friendly neighborhood. Knock on a few doors on a Saturday morning. Introduce yourself. Leave a card. It feels old-fashioned, but it works. One tip that many operators swear by: offer the first visit free or heavily discounted to new clients. It removes all the hesitation, lets people see the value firsthand, and converts a surprising number of them into long-term paying customers. Now let us get honest about the downsides and the risks, because there are real ones. The most obvious is that this job is unpleasant. You will be dealing with waste in all weather conditions: hot summer days, wet fall mornings, and cold winters if you live somewhere like that. If you have a sensitive stomach, that is a real factor to consider. There is also the issue of seasonal slowdowns. In colder climates, some clients may cancel service during winter months when their dogs spend less time outside. Building up a larger client base helps buffer this, but it is worth knowing going in. Liability is something to think about. If a client's gate is accidentally left open and their dog escapes, or if something gets damaged during a visit, you could face a complaint, or worse. A basic general liability insurance policy, which typically runs somewhere between $300 and $600 per year for a small operation, gives you real protection, and also makes you look more professional to potential clients. Depending on where you live, there may be local business licensing requirements or rules about waste disposal. Most areas have no special permits needed for this type of service, but it is worth a quick check with your city or county before you launch. And here is a mistake a lot of beginners make: underpricing to get clients fast, then feeling trapped at rates that do not make the work worth it. Start at a fair market rate. It is much harder to raise prices on existing clients than to set the right price from the beginning. Let us do the Side Gig HQ scorecard. Startup cost: 9 out of 10. You can genuinely launch for under $50. Very few side hustles have this low a barrier to entry. Beginner friendliness: 8 out of 10. No experience, certification, or special skills required. The learning curve is almost non-existent, which makes it one of the more accessible options out there. Income potential: 6 out of 10. The ceiling is real. There are only so many hours in a day and so many yards you can service. But for part-time supplemental income, the hourly rate is solid and often better than minimum wage. Scalability: 6 out of 10. You can grow this into a real business by hiring help, building a team, and running multiple routes. But it does require systems, management, and a mindset shift from side hustle to operation. Solo, you will hit a ceiling fairly quickly.
Competition risk: 5 out of 10. There are established companies in many markets, and this space has grown in recent years. But the good news is that pet waste removal is hyper-local, and even in competitive markets, there is often plenty of demand to support multiple operators. Good service and reliability will keep clients loyal. Difficulty and unpleasantness factor: 7 out of 10. And yes, a higher number here means harder. This is physical, outdoor work in all conditions, dealing with something genuinely unpleasant. That is also exactly why the opportunity exists. Most people would rather not do it. Overall rating: 6.5 out of 10. A solid, accessible, low-barrier side hustle with real income potential for the right person, but not for everyone. So who is this side hustle actually right for? It is a strong fit if you prefer being outside over sitting at a desk, if you are looking for supplemental income on your own schedule without needing to learn any new skills, if you are physically capable and not squeamish, or if you are someone who sees an ugly job as an opportunity because everyone else will avoid it. It is probably not the right fit if you live somewhere with extreme winters and no plan for the slow season, if the physical and sanitation aspects genuinely bother you more than the money motivates you, or if you are looking for passive or remote income. The final verdict: pet waste removal is one of the most underestimated side hustles in the gig economy. It is not flashy, it will not impress anyone at a dinner party, but it has real demand, genuinely low startup costs, flexible hours, and a client retention rate that most freelancers would envy. Once you clean someone's yard reliably every week, they rarely cancel. The biggest hurdle is just getting started and getting past the initial awkwardness of telling people what you do. If you are someone who values honest work, a real hourly rate, and a business you can start this weekend without spending hundreds of dollars, this one deserves a serious look. If you want more breakdowns like this one, real side hustles, real numbers, real talk, subscribe to Side Gig HQ. We cover everything from gig apps to local services to online income, and we always skip the hype and get straight to what actually matters. Hit subscribe, and we will see you in the next one.